Welcome back to the deep dive. I hope you are ready to stretch your imagination a little bit today, because we were doing something that, honestly, we haven't really done before.
It is definitely a departure from the usual tech reviews or academic studies, that's for sure.
Yeah, usually we're digging into, heavy data, white papers, maybe a biography. But today, our source material is, well, it's a story.
Hmm.
And not just any story. We have this incredibly vivid, almost cinematic text in front of us. It reads like high fantasy. We're talking mountain kingdoms, ancient castles, literal dragons.
It sounds like the script for a summer blockbuster.
It really does. But here's the hook, and the reason we're covering it on a show about insight and growth. This isn't just escapism. The text functions as a really sophisticated allegory for leadership.
Right, and family dynamics, personal psychology.
It's almost like a Myers-Briggs test wrapped inside a fairy tale.
That's a great way to frame it. The narrative uses these huge, epic fantasy symbols to explain psychological concepts that are actually very grounded. It's dealing with the architecture of power and how we handle it.
So let's set the scene. We're dropping into a high mountain kingdom. The source describes a great arena, a massive castle, and these towering, jagged peaks.
Yeah.
And inside this landscape, we have a family drama playing out.
Right. And the mission for this deep dive is to unpack the three central figures in this text. You have the emperor, the queen, and the page.
So the father, the mother, and the son.
Precisely. But the text frames them as archetypes. And the really cool mechanism here, the thing that gives it that insight factor, is that it looks at them through the lens of duality.
Duality, how so?
The text explicitly breaks down their upright nature, which is their strength, and then their reversed nature.
Who's their shadow side?
Exactly. The trap they fall into if they take that strength too far or, let it curdle.
I find that framework so useful. I think we've all seen leaders or felt it in ourselves, where your greatest asset on a bad day become your biggest liability.
And this story maps that territory perfectly. It shows how a virtue can just flip into a vice.
Okay, before we meet the characters, I have to mention the visuals. The symbolism is just wild.
Yeah.
We've got warrior rams that sense vibrations in the earth. We've got green feathered armor. We've got a massive dragon representing ambition.
Every single detail in the text is doing heavy lifting. Nothing is there just for decoration.
So let's start at the top, literally. The high peaks. Who's running the show up there?
That would be the emperor. The text introduces him right out of the gate as the formidable force of authority.
He is the dad with a capital D.
Basically. He represents structure, order, stability. His domain isn't the lush valley, it's the hard rock. The text places him specifically at the foot of the great arena.
It sets a very specific tone. It's not warm and fuzzy. It's rigid, strong. It feels immovable.
Foundational. And to really get what he's about, you have to look at his security detail. This was one of the most fascinating parts of this for me. He isn't guarded by soldiers. He's guarded by these warrior rams.
Yeah, let's pause on the rams, because when I hear sheep or rams, I don't usually think elite royal guard. I think, farm animals. Why this choice?
Well, look at how they're described. The text says their thick coats blend perfectly into the rocky terrain. They're camouflaged against the mountain itself.
So they're just part of the environment.
Exactly. But their function is what turns the sheep trope on its head. The text calls them the eyes and ears of the realm. But listen to this detail. It says they don't just see threats coming.
Okay.
They feel the vibration of the earth before a scout could even report it.
That is such a cool detail.
It's huge.
So if you're a leader, what does that represent? To me, that sounds like ground truth.
That is it, exactly. It's hyper-awareness. Think about a CEO who sits in a glass tower reading spreadsheets versus one who walks the factory floor. The one on the floor knows a machine is about to break just by the sound of the hum.
They can feel the rumble.
They feel the rumble. And the text says this ability ensures the security of the production at the heart of the kingdom. So the emperor's stability isn't just about being a statue on a throne. It's about having this deep sensory connection to the reality on the ground.
He's plugged in.
He is absolutely plugged in. And that leads to his upright nature. The text says he possesses the upright strength of authority and understands the language of the mountains.
Language of the mountains. That is such a poetic way of saying he just understands the rules of reality, the physics of the situation.
Yeah.
Hard facts.
Correct. He deals in facts. Immutable facts. That's his superpower. He provides the platform that everyone else stands on.
But, and there is always a but in this text.
There's always a but.
He has a reverse nature. What happens when the emperor goes wrong? because stability sounds like a purely good thing.
It is until it isn't.
Yeah.
The text warns of the danger of becoming a rigid force.
Rigidity.
Think about a mountain. It's great because it doesn't move. But what if the situation needs to move? The text says the risk is that he becomes so solid, so focused on order, that he loses sight of the companions who serve alongside him.
He stops seeing people and only sees the structure.
Exactly. It's authority without connection. It's the boss who says, I don't care if you're burnt out. The policy says you have to be here at 8 a.m.
Rules for the sake of rules.
That is the emperor in reverse. He becomes an obstacle instead of a foundation.
And that creates a coldness, a sterile environment where nothing new can really grow, he can only be maintained.
Which creates a perfect vacuum for the second character to fill. Because if he's all hard rock and rules in cold mountain air, she is. Well, she's something else entirely.
Enter the queen.
The text describes her standing right beside him, but the vibe, the energy is totally different. She is called a beacon of independence and passion.
So if the emperor is the container, she's the contents.
If he is the rock, she is the energy flowing over it.
I want to talk about her outfit because the visual here is really striking. The emperor was camouflaged, right?
Right.
Blending into the rock.
Right.
The queen is wearing green feathered armor that shimmers under the sun.
It's a complete contrast. We move from gray, rocky wool that hides you to iridescent green feathers that make you shine.
But weight feathers as armor, that sounds ineffective. If I'm going into battle, give me the steel plate, not the plumage. What's the text trying to say there?
It's paradoxical, isn't it? But think about what feathers represent. Flight, air, life, movement. The text explicitly says this symbolizes her deep connection to the life and nature surrounding the castle.
So her defense isn't about blocking things out.
No, her armor isn't a wall, it's a radiator. It radiates life. While the emperor looks down at the foundation, she's watching the skies. The text describes her gaze as having charisma.
Charisma is a tricky thing in leadership. It can be a superpower, but it's hard to define.
The text defines it by its effect. It says she inspires the entire kingdom to strive for more. That's her upright nature, the upright fire of self-assurance.
So where the emperor pushes for stability and safety, she pushes for growth.
She pushes for expansion. She's the one saying, we are safe, we are solid, now let's do something amazing. She is the supportive leader who drives the culture.
Okay, but we know the pattern now. She has a shadow side too. What's the reversed queen?
This is really fascinating, and I think a lot of people will resonate with this. The text warns of shadows associated with worry and frustration.
Interesting. So the flip side of passion is worry.
It makes sense if you think about it, if you care deeply. If you are emotionally invested in the growth of things, you're vulnerable.
You have skin in the game.
Exactly. When things don't go right, the emperor just looks at the facts and adjusts. The queen takes it personally. The danger is allowing insecurity or selfishness to close off the heart.
That's profound. So the emperor's risk is becoming too hard rigidity. The queen's risk is becoming too closed off insecurity.
Precisely. She can become smothering. Or she can become anxious, micromanaging the growth because she's so afraid it will fail.
It's the difference between I believe in you and I'm terrified you're going to mess this up.
That is exactly it. So we have these two powerful figures, order and passion, but both of them have these built-in traps.
And that sets the stage perfectly for the arrival of the third character, the page, the sun.
And talk about an entrance. He doesn't just walk in from stage left.
No, he definitely makes an impression. The text says he swoops down from the clouds on a majestic green dragon.
This is probably the most dynamic image in the whole text.
Let's stop on the dragon for a second. Because in most Western stories, a dragon is the monster. It's the thing you go kill to prove you're a hero.
Right, St. George and the Dragon. It represents chaos that needs to be slain.
But here, he's riding it. He's saddled it. It's his vehicle.
It's a partner, and the symbolism here is very specific. The text says, the dragon's wings mirror the soaring bird of his early studies.
So he's been studying for this. This isn't just a joyride he found.
No, this isn't accidental. The dragon represents ambitions finally taking flight. The text calls it manifested ambition.
I love that phrase, manifested ambition. Because having ambition is easy, right? Everyone has an idea for a screenplay or a startup.
Exactly. Dreaming is cheap. Manifesting is expensive.
It takes work.
And notice the emphasis the text puts on that work. It describes the page as overachieving, a young man of diligence and skill. It says he spent years in the high libraries and arenas.
High libraries. That implies focus. He didn't just get this dragon because his dad is the emperor.
That distinction is crucial. The text is built on a theme of earned leadership versus inherited leadership. He had to learn the theory in the library and then go out to the arena and actually apply it.
And the emperor recognizes that, right? He's not just giving him a participation trophy.
No. The text says the emperor's pride is mirrored in the steady stance of his rams. He congratulates the son specifically for earning his leadership through the mastery of his own path.
Mastery of his own path. That's a heavy endorsement from the guy who represents order.
It is. It validates the son's individual effort. The emperor respected the source of the authority, the hard work, not just the bloodline.
So now we have this tableau.
Yeah.
The emperor, the queen, and the page standing between them. And this is where the text moves into what I think is the core message: synthesis.
Yes. The page is described as a living reflection of their dual nature. He isn't just a copy of the father or the mother, he is the integration of both.
So he's taking the best software from both operating systems and patching the bugs.
That is a brilliant way to put it. From the father, the text says he learned the upright strength of authority.
He understands structure. He knows you can't build a castle on a swamp.
Right. He has the wisdom of the mountains, but, and this is key, he also sees the trap of rigidity. He knows that if he becomes too much like the mountain, he loses people.
And from the mother.
He inherits the upright fire of self-assurance, that charisma, the ability to look at the sky and see possibility.
But again, he sees the trap there too.
He does. Through her guidance, he learned to navigate those reverse shadows of worry. He knows that a true ruler cannot let insecurity close off their heart.
There's a line in the text that really stood out to me about how he views failure. Because if you have an emperor dad, failure is a crack in the foundation. It's unacceptable.
And if you have a queen mom, failure is a heartbreak.
So how does the page see it?
The text says he understands that mistakes are merely part of the ripple of life.
Ripple of life.
It's such a dynamic worldview. A ripple implies movement. It implies water. If you throw a rock in a pond, the water gets disturbed, but it settles, it flows.
That is so much healthier than cracking the stone.
It's resilient. It suggests that he treats problems not as catastrophes, but just as data. It's just feedback, part of the ride on the dragon.
And this leads to his ultimate goal. He sets an intention.
To build a legacy based on honor and insight.
Honor from the father, insight from the mother.
Combining unwavering stability with a zest for life, it really is a new style of leadership. It's holistic.
Right. It's not just about being tough or being kind.
It's about integrating the stability of the earth with the aspiration of the sky, and avoiding those reversed states. The emperor's strength becomes rigidity. The queen's passion becomes anxiety.
The page's success lies in balancing those forces so that he stays upright.
Absolutely. He has to constantly tune his instrument.
So let's bring this down from the mountain for a second. What does this all mean for us? We aren't riding green dragons, unfortunately.
Speak for yourself.
Well, for the rest of us. This story resonates. Why?
It resonates because we all have these archetypes inside us. We all have a part of us that craves order and stability. Our inner emperor. We need that to get things done, to feel safe.
And we have that inner queen, the part that wants to create, to connect, to be passionate about something.
Exactly. And the challenge the text presents to us is the same challenge the page faces. Can we integrate them? Can we be disciplined without being rigid, passionate without being overwhelmed by worry?
It's about that manifested ambition again, using the discipline to give wings to the passion.
Yes. Remember, the page didn't just find the dragon. He spent years in the library and the arena. He used the Emperor Tools discipline, study, to achieve the queen, goal flight, ambition, creation.
That is a really powerful takeaway. You can't just dream and you can't just grind. You have to combine them. The grind serves the dream.
And you have to do it with your eyes open to the reversed risks. You have to constantly check yourself. Am I being strong or am I just being stubborn?
Am I being caring or am I just being anxious? It requires a lot of self-awareness.
Which is exactly why the page is the hero of this story. His superpower isn't the dragon, it's his insight. His ability to see the patterns in his parents and choose a deliberate path.
He is the living reflection. He embodies the balance.
And notice, the text ends with him looking forward, prepared to lead with both honor and insight. It's an active stance. It's a beginning.
It really makes you look at your own leadership style, whether that's leading a team, a family, or just leading yourself in a totally different way.
It does. It moves away from the idea that there is one right way to lead. It suggests the best way is a dynamic balance of opposing forces.
So before we wrap up, I want to leave our listener with a thought to chew on. We talked a lot about the reverse nature, the shadow side of our strengths.
Yes, the warning labels.
So the question to ask yourself is this. In your own life, right now, look at your greatest strength. Maybe you're incredibly organized, or maybe you're incredibly empathetic.
Right.
Are you operating in the upright mode of that strength? Or, if you're really honest with yourself, are you slipping into the reversed shadow? Is your organization becoming rigidity? Is your empathy becoming anxiety?
That is the question. Because the difference between the upright and the reversed isn't a different skill, it's a different mindset. It's about where you're standing.
Something to think about as you go about your day. Check your vibration, check your armor, and keep an eye on your dragon.
And remember, mistakes are just ripples.
Thanks for diving in with us.
Until next time.
Well done, my son. You have honored the kingdom.